Good morning, Paula. Good morning. Welcome to our Thursday morning Plant Power half-hour chat. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm excited to record this and share this with all of our friends on Facebook and YouTube so that they can have this resource available because it's finally summer. We've been waiting forever in Minnesota. You get a little more in Florida, but man, it's been vacant here. And now we had a week of spring and now we're finally like in summer.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah, I use sunscreen year round, but boy, it is getting intense. The last 2 summers I was in Minnesota, I'm still, I'm a Midwest girl, man. I don't know that I'm built for this sunshine, even though I lived in Vegas for 15 years and I've been making my own sunscreen for a lot of years, probably close to 20 years. So when you suggested this, it was like, oh yeah, I have some thoughts on this. So I'm happy to hop into this. Using natural sunscreens for our audience, using natural sunscreens provides multiple benefits over the commercial ones. That is kind of my opinion, but I do have something to draw from. I've had skin cancer for over 30 years. I was diagnosed in my 20s. I'm now in my 50s, and I've been making a lot of my own skin products, sunscreen products, and things that I put on my body. More natural products just simply include essential oils, herbs, maybe some minerals. But when we put that stuff on, it concentrates and it goes into our skin, and that can cause harm. And as a health coach, Paula, I want you to chime in on this. There's some scary stuff, some chemicals and toxins in a lot of these, not just sunscreens, but lotions and other products that we're putting on us. Before we kick in and dive in deeper on how to create sunscreen, can you share some thoughts on like the benefits of not doing that, or maybe the harms, and I'll get into benefits wherever you want.
Absolutely. Right. Well, we've all heard the phrase, you are what you eat. Mm-hmm. Well, really, you are what your body can't digest. Like, what is your body hanging on to that it can't process? So just like the food we're putting in our body, the things that we're putting on our skin, on our hair, on our clothes, our body also has to metabolize and process it, right? And when it's these chemicals that our body can't process, our body's like, I don't know what to do with that. I'll just hang on to that for later. I'm not sure what to do, right? And so we have this accumulation of all these chemicals and things that our body just can't fully process out. So it resides in our body. It often turns into other forms of disease that we don't want. We're trying to prevent that by putting on sunscreen. We're trying to prevent problems. And if we're not paying attention to the ingredients that our body is absorbing, we're actually causing more harm than good, right? That's a big challenge because, what are those ingredients we're supposed to watch for? This is where label reading, just like food, label reading of what you put on your body makes a huge difference, right?
For sure.
Anything we put on our body, of course, we start with the parabens and the phthalates. We don't want any of those. But sunscreen specifically has some big items to really start looking for. Let's talk about the oxybenzone, the avobenzone. All of those ingredients we see commonly in traditional sunscreens, right? Those are not things that are helpful to our bodies at all.
They're harsh and they're synthetic chemicals versus using a more natural option with herbs, essential oils. Those that are harsh and synthetic can cause skin irritation. They can increase free radical damage. And most importantly, they can disrupt our hormone levels. And, as health practitioner coaches, one of the first things that we address is somebody's diet and what's happening in their hormones. Can they eliminate what they're consuming and bringing into their body? And are Are their hormones in balance? That's step one. And step two with every client I've ever worked with in the last 20 plus years is, how are things moving? We already talked about poop and bowel movements and that. If you haven't seen it, go back and check out the videos in the Herbalist group because they're in there. We talked about our elimination cycles. These chemicals get stored in our fat cells. They get stored in our organs, and our body starts to put on weight because of it. It has to accumulate fat to protect us. When we detox and eliminate chemicals from our body naturally will get back to its optimum weight and have the ability to function healthy. So these synthetic chemicals are doing so much more harm than the good that you get from protecting yourself from sun. There is a better option. There's a better alternative.
Mm-hmm. And the environment too, right? When we're using products that are synthetic and challenging, and we dive into that lake or ocean, all that wildlife then is exposed to it then, and we're seeing damage to the coral reefs, we're seeing damage to fish and other natural habitats because of some of these chemical products. And when we can switch to that, make it healthier for us, but it also makes it healthier for the rest of the earth too.
Yeah. I hear people say, well, is it as strong? Are natural products as strong? They can be. It's all in the recipe and the formula. And not everybody responds the same way. And it also depends, Paula's in Minnesota, I'm in Florida. The intensity of the sun is different. So on the link, on the website where we've been sharing recipes every single week, you can go there. There's 4 recipes that we put up. Some contain zinc oxide. You can actually purchase a zinc oxide powder. Now use a face mask and cover yourself up because, it can be irritating and powder sometimes can, spread because it's a powder format, but zinc oxide is a sun block. So if you need something as strong as a sun block, you can make your own sun block, just like the ones that you buy using zinc oxide, herbs, essential oils, and butters or oils, coconut oil and shea. We'll get into some of those ingredients here in a minute, but they can be equally as strong. They can completely block the sun if you follow a recipe that contains the ingredients that will do that. So yes, they can be as effective as the commercial, but they don't necessarily cause allergies or irritation like our commercial brands can and often do. They don't clog pores, and they give nutrition or nutrients to the skin to reduce the aging or slow the aging process and actually create moisture and health within our skin, the largest organ of our body. Yes, that's what we want to do, is create health in our skin, the largest organ in our body, and also one of our elimination organs.
Yes, that's so important. And we take it so for granted, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about ingredients. I mentioned shea butter, but give me your laundry list of things and I'll add to it.
Well, of course, with my oils background, I always think first of the oils that are helpful in sunscreen. So lavender, frankincense, myrrh, and carrot seed oil are some of the top oils that protect the skin, but also heal and nourish the skin, like you were just talking about.
Yeah. Couple that I would add there is helichrysum, actually.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Lavender. Yeah. Carrots. I use carrot, lavender, helichrysum are kind of my top 3. For carrier oils, what are your favorite carrier oils that you're mixing your essential oils into?
So I like to make sure that it's not going to clog my pores. So one of the biggest ones that I love is like a red, I don't know if you can see that tiny little.
We can. Yep. Red raspberry seed oil. Mm-hmm.
Red raspberry seed oil. It's a natural product. Just alone, it's going to be helpful. But when I'm going to add all those other essential oils, it's just going to boost the power of that. And Lisa, life is busy. I like things super simple. So I like to just find a good mineral sunscreen that it's a brand I trust and it has all those ingredients already mixed into it. That makes it simple. But what happens when you put on a mineral sunscreen?
Like paste.
It's thick, right? It's made to be a physical barrier, which is great, but it makes it really hard to spread. And that's where I add the red raspberry seed oil to my mineral sunscreen just to help spread it out and make it easier. It's going to be beneficial. It's not going to clog my pores, but I'm going to have an easier time spreading it on, especially with the kids. They're not as patient as I am. I want to put that physical barrier on me with the mineral sunscreen, but the kids aren't going to stand still long enough to be able to have that type of coverage. So be able to spread it faster and easier. The raspberry seed oil as an additional carrier definitely makes a big difference.
Yeah. Some of the other ingredients I use are like shea butter, beeswax, because beeswax gives it that thicker consistency and makes it easier to spread. One of the recipes I put up was a sunscreen lotion bar. So it's very hard. It has extra beeswax in it. So you just rub the bar on you, no spraying. You know, it's a little bit easier than lotion. So if you've never tried doing a sunscreen bar, you might want to check out that recipe, but it does contain your beeswax. I like coconut oil and jojoba oil. I also used to have a massive field of calendula flowers. Calendula is in the marigold family, and calendula is nutritive to the skin. I used it a lot. I made a lot of my own oils and butters and lotions, and calendula oil was always one where I infused the calendula into either fractionated coconut oil or olive oil and would use that as my main ingredient, my main oil. So I love calendula infused oil as the carrier. Other things you might want to look at are zinc oxide powder. I mentioned that. And then of course your essential oils. Those are primarily the ingredients that I used in most of these recipes. So
yeah, definitely. The other thing I do is I use my mineral sunscreen in combination with my foundation. So I'm just going to mix the two of them together and kind of make it as a nice, simple cover up for the day when I have activities and outings where I want to look a little bit more polished with my foundation, but putting the sunscreen right in with the foundation as I'm putting it on, or layer it under my foundation to give that protection.
Yeah, so check out those sunscreen recipes. I want to talk a little bit after sun care. You know, next week we're talking about lotions and serums for the face for anti-aging. We're talking about, you know, keeping our skin healthy. But what about after sunscreen stuff? For me, I use two. One is I have 4 aloe plants in my house, and I cut off about a 2-inch piece, fillet it in half, and lather me up with that aloe. When you get it on your hands, it's bitter. If you touch yourself even an hour later, like rub your mouth or something, it's like, what is that? Not my favorite, but it does work in times when you really got, burn more than you should. That one stops the peeling, and it helps with the cooling the body down so it doesn't continue to burn, because sunburn can burn for hours after you come in the house. And then the other one, I totally cheat and use Young Living, is my absolute favorite after sun care. I use it for the kids when they're here because we go to the pool. There's a pool in my community. And so if we're out there during the heat of the day, even if they didn't get burned, I will spritz it on their shoulders, their faces and cheeks before they go home. Just to stop it. If they did get too much sun and we haven't seen it before I send them home to mama, so I don't get in trouble for, making sure they weren't protected enough. It's like, okay, we'll stop anything that's happening, but it's in a spray bottle and it's so easy to use. And those are really the only two that I use for after skin care. Apple cider vinegar too. You can put it in a spray bottle and spritz it on, and it cools the skin and stops the burn. Okay, there's 3. How about you? After skincare?
Yeah, I'm definitely all about the Young Living spray, making it easy.
Yeah.
The key is, as a child, I got sunburn a lot. So the notion is you always want to put something on the burn, but the challenge is what you put on the burn really matters, because if you're putting something on that's going to trap that heat in, you're actually not helping the body. That's why the aloe is great. It helps nourish the skin, but it also lets that heat escape. It lets your body do what it's naturally supposed to do and doesn't cause more damage. So grabbing any old lotion is not the solution. I love the aloe plant. We have a bottle of aloe gel as well, adding frankincense or lavender to that as well. Also calming. And I also love to keep it in the fridge. It's cooler. It After you are so hot, it's just really nice and calming to the
Love
body
that
to put
idea.
that on and cool down just for a minute. Your body will still heat up as it's letting that leave your body, but for the moment, that's a nice cooling.
I've never used peppermint, but can you use peppermint essential oil maybe in with some distilled water or apple cider vinegar? Would that help to cool it down?
Generally, I do have a peppermint spray that I use when I'm getting hot. Um, I haven't used it on the actual sunburn
Right.
because I am
Okay.
very sensitive to peppermint. I definitely need a lot of carrier oil when I use that. And when the
Okay.
skin is already irritated with a big burn,
Okay.
I'm scared to try it on that
Okay. That's good.
point.
That's good advice. Yeah. We want to make sure that we mention that no citrus oils, like if you're using essential oils in your lotions, your skin creams, anything that you're using during the summer months, please avoid citrus oils. There, a drop or two probably won't affect it, but there is a concentration that can cause skin sensitivity and actually intensify the burning when you use citrus oils. So we don't want to use those on products that we're going to be wearing out in the sunshine. Keep those for your nighttime moisturizer before you go to bed, especially during the summer months when the sun is much more intense.
Yeah, that photosensitivity of all those citrus oils are just going to make it faster to burn. I know it's important to also pay attention to the essential oil blends that you're using. Like on a daily basis, when I first started using essential oils, Stress Away was my ultimate favorite. I wore it every day as my perfume on my wrists, on my neck. But I didn't know it had lime essential oil in it. So the first time out in the sun in, March or April, I have this little extra burn on this side of my neck where I had been wearing that as my perfume. So I
Oh,
always tell people, put it where the sun isn't going to shine on it, whether
yes.
that's on your tummy, whether that's on your back, or whether it's under some other type of clothing. Still enjoy your oils, but just be strategic about where you're putting them, especially if you're going to be outside for the day.
Love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So lots of good information. Definitely check out those recipes if you want to try it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below and we'll try to address any of those questions directly if there's something that you're concerned about or need to know more information on next week. Any comments or thoughts? We're talking about healthy skin. Do you want to, entice people to come back live and check it out? What do you have to say about that one?
Yeah, let's talk about lotions and body butters. Let's nourish the skin.
Love it. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. These are some quick tidbits, and I hope you have a takeaway. I hope we convinced you, brought you around to our thinking on trying a more natural alternative, a mineral sunscreen, less chemical, less synthetic, save you, save your family, save your environment, some headaches down the road by using something that's a little bit more natural. We will see you all next week.